Performance comes down to controlling what you can. For tennis pro, Jessica Pegula, that means starting with the air around her. She can't control her opponent or the match, but she can control her rest and recovery. That's why she's trusted Blue Air for 5 years and counting. Blue Signature air purifiers are engineered to perform and designed to impress, with 7 stages of advanced filtration, up to 10 times more odor removal, and customizable colors and accessories. Shop blueair.com and use code SIGNATURE30 to save.
It's time for Trash Day Nose Yoga with Hefty. Let's transform stinky scenarios with a joyful scent of Fabuloso. Inhale. You forgot to empty your kid's lunchbox. Exhale. A field of lavender. Inhale. Stinky leftovers. Exhale. Watermelon in the summer. That's the power of Hefty Ultra Strong Trash Bags with Fabuloso.
Hefty, hefty, hefty!
He's an old head.
Youngins are really starting to get on my damn nerves.
He's a purveyor of nonsense. He's a Georgia high school coaching job influencer. His favorite Bible verse is, Jesus wept. He's the man of constant sorrow, Chris Lamb.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, and today we come from the Lee Murray GACA Golf Tournament, and I'm with Tournament Director, football coach, about to be retired, Coach John Willoughby. Thanks for being with us today.
Coach Lamb, it is my honor and privilege to be on the Sun Coaches Podcast with you, my friend.
Well, Coach, where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you play ball? Tell us where all that started.
Well, originally, I am from Milledgeville, Georgia, and I am a little bit nuts, but all that's fine.
You didn't escape from the asylum up there.
No. I grew up there, but you know, when you're from Milledgeville, you can use that to your advantage sometimes. Like especially when you're a kid at Six Flags and you're in line for the mind bender, and it's June, and you're about 12 years old, and there's a long line. You can kind of roll your shirt up about halfway and tap the guy in front and say, "Hey, man, I'm from Milledgeville," and you always get 2 answers: either "where" or "oh."
Go ahead.
Do you want to go right ahead? Absolutely, sir. Thank you very much. So, yeah, we can flip that around sometimes.
So where'd you go to high school?
All right, so I started out in high school at, what we call high school now. Back then, it was called junior high. For the 8th and 9th grade back then was junior high. And I came up through the Baldwin County Public School System until the 7th grade. Well, until the 8th grade. In the 7th grade, I went to Sally Davis. I guess it's middle school now, but anyway, it's called Sally Davis Elementary, but the whole county had one school, 7th grade. And then you had the Body Junior High Rattlers. That was the 8th and 9th grade. Back then, high school was 10 to 12. And I'm going to be honest with you, for a small, skinny, little white guy, Body Junior High School was not a safe environment. This is tough, man. This was in the mid-'80s now. It was just tough. And so my dad had the foresight to know, hey, I mean, he wasn't no dummy. He said, if this kid's going to ever have any chance of playing any kind of high school athletics, we got to do something here. And so I went to John Milledge Academy in Milledgeville, and that was 8th and the 9th grade, and it was a really good school. I really liked being there, but back then in Milledgeville, you either went to GMC or you wanted to. And I had an uncle, my dad's sister's husband. It was a bona fide badass Green Beret, Vietnam, super war hero and all that. And he was like, I want to be just like Uncle Brooks, And he went to GMC, and I was like, everybody want to go to GMC. without going down a real big rabbit hole, but the Reader's Digest version, when I was in it, GMC at the time was 8 to 12. And you had to take an entrance exam. I took the exam and scored high enough, but everybody back at Davis that was fixing to go to Body, there was a bunch of folks that wanted to go to GMC at that time, and there was no room, so I ended up at John Milledge. Well, I was there for a couple of years, and then my baseball coach, Coach Gary Couch.
Yeah, Coach Couch. He's a great guy.
Hall of Famer. By the way, shout out Coach Couch, brand new grandfather, Ross Couch, who is a Ware County Gator now.
That's right.
Had twins.
Really?
Yesterday?
How about that?
Day before yesterday, something like that.
I know Coach Couch. Big Coach is happy.
Big Coach is doing really good. I called him and he said, I'm in the drive-thru at Wendy's, man. What's going on? What are you doing at Wendy's? You just had great. He's like, everybody's got to eat. I got to go get it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're doing really good. And he's got another grandkid. Chris is little baby boy, which sounds crazy, but he's the special teams coordinator at the University of Florida. They got another baby on the way. So the Couch clan is growing.
Well, good.
But anyway, I went to John Milledge. And my baseball coach left, went to GMC. And so I stayed there one more year, and I was like, I really want to go to GMC. Coach Couch is at GMC. And so in the 10th grade, I went over to GMC. And like I say, I played, football and baseball and tennis. I was really good at tennis back in the day. I was not very good at much anything else. I got used at practice frequently, but that was okay. But yeah, I went to GMC and I had a really good time there.
Went off to college.
I went to college, and let me explain something to anybody that might be listening to this right here. I graduated high school when I was 17 years old. My birthday's in December, and I believe, if I'm not wrong, in 1974 or 5, whatever year, or 75, that was the year before they passed the rule you had to be 6 years old to start first grade. So I actually started when I was 5 and turned 6. So I graduated high school when I was 17 years old. And I graduated high school, and I went to Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew that I still got him, my cousin. We call him Snowman. He graduated in 87 from high school, from Baldwin High School, and he worked at Piggly Wiggly for a year. And I kind of always in my mind figured that Snowman was going to work at the Piggly Wiggly for the rest of his life. Well, he called me right before I graduated and said, hey man, why don't we go down there to ABAC, because we're into hunting, fishing, and all that kind of stuff. He's like, why don't we go down there and we can do something with the deer hunting and the turkey hunting and the duck hunting. It's ABAC. We can find something to do.
Yes, Tifton.
Right.
Country.
Right. Well, let's just say this. If you are 150 miles away from home with your daddy's gold card in your back pocket, for gas, of course, let's just say that is a lot of responsibility
For a 17-year-old.
17-year-old. Now, don't get me wrong. I would not trade you anything in this world for that year, because I got educated.
That year.
I didn't get educated in classroom, buddy, but I got educated. Anyway, long story short, I think back then it was a quarter system. 15 hours was a full quarter, so you should have 45 hours after a year. After 1 year of college, I had 25 hours, 5 of them were PE. And one of them was like intro to ag or something like that. And I had a 1.0.
Had a baby.
And my dad's
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
exact words to me were, quote, "You have pissed away my last dime."
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't blame him. It was a good life lesson. So I figured after that, I'm like, I ain't worried about this. I got friends. I went to military high school. I went to GMC. I was military background. I got friends that are in the National Guard. I watch what they do on the weekends. They go down to Fort Stewart once a month and play cards. I'm like, hell, they'll pay GI Bill. That'll pay for it. That ain't got to. And so I did that. Well, time frame here is important because this was 1989. Guess what happened like Christmas Day, 1989? We invaded Panama. Well, I was in basic training, or MP school. It was after basic training, but I was still at Fort McClellan, Alabama. And let me tell you something. When the United States invades another country, if you want to see some folks that are fired up and ready to train, be on a military installation. Because it gets real. And so, okay, we get done with that, and I come back, and I'm like, I got out of that, I guess, February, first week of March, 1990. No problem. We really, other than, Panama and Grenada, which was, 3 weeks, something like that, the United States hadn't been in a conflict since Vietnam. Well, in 1990, when I get back, I go back to school, GI Bill, I'm living at home, I'm working 40 hours a week at New Lumber Supply, which is a whole nother rabbit hole, but that was way fun, and all that. And then all of a sudden, in November of 1990, guess what we do? There's weapons of mass destruction. They're going to mobilize the Georgia Army National Guard. I'm like, you got to be kidding. I go to drill with these guys. These are all the guys in the National Guard at that time are Vietnam vets. They're building up their little military retirement.
Older guys.
Yeah, old. And they've been downrange now. They've been in combat, but these are like guys that are like, you tell them to run 2 miles. No, ain't none of that. And I'm like, there's no way they're sending National Guard to combat. Well, guess what? Here we go. And so we got mobilized for Desert Storm, and we went to the NTC, the National Training Center, which is Fort Irwin, California, which is the armpit of the earth. Irmo, California. It ain't good. And we were out there for 70 days. Don't think the desert is always hot, because if you hit the ground in the desert in January, it was so cold, my aftershave had ice cubes in it. It was stupid. So anyway, we come back from that, and it's amazing. Again, I still ain't old enough to drink. This is I'm born December, so this was 90. I just turned 20, and it's amazing when you stand armpit deep in a foxhole how much you mature and grow up. And you know what, Pops is right when he said I ain't wasting no more of his money. He's right on. And after that, I came back, went to Georgia College, which is kind of a cool story. I'll tell you this one real quick. I'll make it quick. So my mom and my dad was the chairman of the music department at Georgia College. He's a band director. He started a band at Georgia College. My mom taught they call it developmental studies. Back then, you had to take the Regents test, and if you didn't score, you had to pay for a class, teach you how to teach you how to read and write a paper at college level, but you didn't get credit for it. You had to pay for it. My mom was a reading teacher.
099 math and 099 English.
Zero. For sure.
Yeah, no credit.
Well, when we come back from the desert, we were at Fort Stewart, and I'm looking at all these guys, and I'm looking at all these guys that are North Georgia College ROTC guys, and they're like ETSing, which is, I don't know what that stands for. That just means they're cutting you loose. And they're ETSing. I'm like, wait a minute, what? How are y'all doing that? They're like, well, spring quarter's fixing to start. So spring quarter's fixing to start. Hell, y'all get to go home? You ain't got to stay at Fort Stewart for another, however long? They're like, nah, man, we got class. Back then, there was no cell phones. I went and put my quarter in the payphone. And I called my mom, and this was about 8 o'clock one night. And I think it was a Sunday. And I'll never forget it. I called her. I said, Mom, I don't know what kind of strings you got to pull, but you are my new advisor. Now, I remind you, I had a 1.0 that I was trying to transfer in. I said, you find a way to get my ass enrolled in class, which started like not that next day because it was Sunday night. It was not that next day, but it was the following week. I said, you find a way. Call Ralph Hemphill, which was our next door neighbor. He was president or something, or whoever he was, vice president or something. I said, whatever you got to do. I said, get me a schedule. I said, I'll drop everything. I said, you don't have to pay for nothing. I'll drop it all. Just get me out of here. Said, I don't know. I said, find a way. Between my mom and my dad, they found a way, and they got me out. And the next thing I know, the next day, I get the call from headquarters there, and they're like, "Hey, you gotta go home, and you gotta go to school." And I'm like, "Business." That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. And I bet your grades were a lot better.
I never not made the dean's list after that.
Attention getter.
Never. Like I said, you grow up real quick when you're armpit deep in a foxhole. To start your day for 70 days, it gets your attention.
So when you finally got out, what was your first job?
Yeah, this is kind of cool because, like I say, y'all, I'm old head too, man. Me and you've been around, but my first job, I was so fortunate. My first job was at Wayne County High School. Now, when I graduated, again, quarter system, I thought that you needed to graduate in the spring quarter, which back then ran to June. I think I graduated June 3rd, 1994. I thought you needed to graduate in June to go to work in the fall. What you really needed to do was graduate in December and find a job. Well, you know how this game works that we've made a living doing. You do get some folks that are late in the game. Folks leave. Coaches go here. Coaches go there. And there's openings. I didn't know any of this, but my dad, being chairman of the music department, former high school band director at Dublin High School in the 60s, he shows me this thing. There's a blue book. And in the blue book is a list of every coach and every high school in the state of Georgia. So I made it my mission to send a resume to every one of them.
Oh my God.
I spent buku dollars on, because, you thought back in the day, hey, it's got to be on resume paper, it's got to look nice and print and all this. I probably spent $200-300 in the 90s now.
Hey, it's Cole Swindell, and when I spend 200 days a year rolling down the highway, the bus can start to feel smaller than a guitar case. Everyone wonders how I stay chill while the hours crawl by. Truth is, one good luck spin on Chumba, and suddenly the trip feels a whole lot shorter. Finding your space, even when there isn't much to spare. Need some chill? Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus TNC supply. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
A lot of money. And still a lot of money in my house. But anyway, I sent it out. I get a call from Coach Paul Connor.
Coach Connor. I remember Coach Connor.
Is the best people on planet Earth. I get a call from him, come down here and talk to him. Well, that morning, I had like I said, I was kind of a privatization school guy in high school, and I had an interview that morning at, what's the private school in, well, it's TJ, Thomas Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in Jefferson. And Cravey.
Buck Cravey.
No, not Buck.
No, not Thomas.
His son.
Jay.
Jay Cravey. Young. Jay Cravey was young back then. He was head coach. Or AD, something, head coach. Anyway, I went and interviewed with him. They took me out there, and I thought I was going to make my living as a baseball coach. I thought, baseball was my deal. I really didn't know actually I didn't know anything about football. But I thought I was going to be a baseball coach. So we go, I met with him. They take me out there at TJ, and if you go there now, they got a baseball field because my kid went to privatization school as well. And we played them from time to time. But anyway, they showed me this earth, pine trees, this, that, and other. And they said, you build it, you design it, we'll build it. I'm like, I'm going here. Well, I left there and drove from Jefferson
County, Rennes.
Yeah, well,
Louisville,
that's it. I drove from there down US 1 to Jessup. And I get down there and I meet Coach Connor. And Coach Connor he didn't have to sell me on nothing because he's pretty smart, and he knew right quick like that I was like an idiot. And I'll never forget it. I met Craig Davis on my interview, Dr. Coach Davis. Played golf with him today. To this day, my mentor, that used to make him mad because he's like, I don't know if he's a very good coach or not, but I'm like, nope, Craig Davis my mentor, and then a couple of folks, hey, he can hold his own. Okay, well, that's good enough. But Coach Connor put his arm around me when I met Craig Davis, and he said, Coach Davis, this is going to be Coach Willoughby. And he tapped me on the shoulder 3 times, and he said, you're going to have to spend a lot of time with this one. But I was so fortunate because everybody on that staff at Jessup in 1994, other than Coach Connor and a dude, I think he has passed away, Coach Ronnie Harper, other than those 2, everybody else was under the age of 30. And so, a bunch of us, he hired 4 middle school guys. Back in the day, that's what you did. I thought I was going to be a baseball coach. Football, yeah, I can do football. And basketball. And I learned a lot coaching middle school basketball that year. But anyway, because we were all young, the only one who was married was Davis. And he had just got married, but we had Scott Brown. Where every Monday night in Jessup to this day, because I got friends that coach down there, they still go to, is it Sybil's? Sybil's in Jessup. On Monday after practice, they go there to the Touchdown Club meeting and eat. Well, after that, we would go to Scott Brown's house and we would play spades and, drink beer or whatever we did. And we just talked ball, man. We just talked. And when it started, I really didn't know I was learning anything, but all them Monday nights and then, all that kind of stuff, I kind of figured out that when he would say something, or Craig would be there playing cards or something, they'd be talking about, football, X's and O's, and when I could start picturing it in my head and I kind of could speak the language, I knew right then, I'm like, yeah, okay, I got it. I'm catching on, And so, so I was there, and I was on there 1 year. And that was my first year teaching. And I was at a middle school with Coach Barbara Struckoff, who was Wayne County legend and is probably to this day still trying to take care of the world. I love her. But we were in the gym on a 6-period day with 100+ kids in the gym. She said, "Coach, we're gonna make sure they don't fight or fornicate." And we're gonna let them ride, man. That's too many folks for 2 folks to handle. I'm like, "Yes, ma'am."
And she ain't wrong.
She ain't wrong. But it was again, I learned so much, and to this day, if I'd have went anywhere else, I wouldn't be, me and you would have never met. I would not be sitting here, nothing. But I was there a year, and then I left and went home because I lived, actually, Craig Davis's father-in-law. I lived right above him in his house. Well, Craig's, I guess it's his brother-in-law. Well, it is his brother-in-law. He lived downstairs. I lived upstairs. And I stayed in Jessup when I first got there about 2 weekends. Well, Kenny and them, Craig's in-laws, they had a place at the coast. They go down there every weekend. Their son was a senior in high school. They leave him at home. Well, I lived in the same house. I just lived upstairs. Well, guess what high school kids would do?
Hang out.
They would bring more high school kids.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I was, at the time, 23 years old. I done been downrange. I done all this other stuff. And I'm like, you're not, okay. I'm not going down there to hang out with them. I'm sitting upstairs out on my veranda watching cars roll by on Cherry Street, and there's a wild party going on downstairs. I'm drinking beer. I didn't know it was a problem. I was old enough. I wasn't hanging out with them. But all them high school kids, "Oh, Coach Will's upstairs? Coach Will's upstairs? Let's go upstairs." No. Y'all don't come upstairs. Well, they come upstairs. Hell, it's Dallas's house too. I mean, he lives there. He don't pay rent. I do, but still, I pay rent in my house. So I learned real quick that this was not a good situation. I'd probably need to just drive the 2.5 hours back home to Milledgeville and hang out with my college buddies on the weekends. So I did that, and it was just it was long. It was long. It was long. So yeah, I was only there a year, but I was middle school football. We had 2 middle schools, 2 brand new middle schools, Martha Puckett and Arthur Wiggin, and there was 2 coaches per middle school. Me, I was the offensive guy and the defensive guy for our school. We had 19 kids at our middle school because Coach Connor had a rule, and the other school had about 20 kids because he had a rule, and over the years, that's the best rule for middle school. Coach Connor's rule was no 6th or 7th graders, only 8th graders. Now, we could have thrown some, the way it is now with the middle school, and they got their leagues and they play for championships and all that. This was like when that first started. Well, we practiced every day together, the middle schools. And we would practice, and I was the offensive guy for both middle schools. Me and another guy were offense, and then the other 2 coaches were defense. Well, we were on our schedule twice. Everything was the same. It was called the same size and everything else. So it became down to, they got more guys than we got. They're going to win. They know what we're doing because we practice together. But over the years, that is Wayne County, my first job. Coach Connor did it right. I mean, he really did. And that, I've changed my opinion on the whole feeder system, and it's probably not popular with some folks. Me and Coach Parson Rhett, have talked about this, and he is like most folks. I want my middle school to feed my high school. We work with our middle schools and all that. Over my years, I've decided, based on what I've seen, I'm way bigger into JV than I am middle school, because I've been out of high school for almost 40 years, and I've yet to go to my middle school football reunion, talk about all our middle school glory and all that kind of nonsense. I'd rather give me the JV guys. Give me a ninth grader that ain't never played football, and I got a blank slate. So if I screw him up, it's my fault. He's only going to know what I teach him.
Right.
And for me personally, I kind of changed my tune, because I've watched these last few years. The last few years I coached, I kind of watched that JV, and even with my kids when they were, 9th and 10th graders, I watched that JV kind of become irrelevant. And I'm thinking, this ain't right. These JV guys have got hair underneath their arms. Not much, but some, way more than daggum middle schoolers do. I don't care if you win the middle school all Central Georgia championship region. Give it a ninth grader. Let me get a JV schedule and play 4 or 5 games and let them ninth graders have success. Or even if they don't have a whole lot of success, let them compete against somebody their age and all that kind of stuff. I'm just really big on that, because I watch it with my own kids, and I dig it, man. I won't, never say never, I might, but if I had the chance to do it all over again in a head coach of a program position, the middle school, let's go have some fun, play some games, kind of like we did in Jessup back in the 90s. And that's all fine and good. But when you get in the 9th grade, you've grown, you matured, and you're lifting weights, and puberty matters. I'm sorry, it does. That summer between the 9th and 10th grade year, that's where you see the growth. That's when you know.
Yeah.
And at least to me. And I'm just like, we need to spend more time with your JV kids. Make JV important.
Oh yeah, you see a lot of kids these days that they might play their freshman year, but their 10th grade year, they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's right.
And they just quit. And they're like, well, I'm going to come back my junior year.
That's right.
And you're like, wait a minute, son. You can't take a year off. That's not good. But they're doing it. That makes sense. So where'd you end up after Wayne County?
So I know I've talked a whole lot about it, but I'm, like I say, very fortunate. So I took a year off and went to work at Horton Holmes and had a real job, and that really sucked. And so I was like, that teaching gig wasn't so bad. That coaching gig was pretty cool. I think I'm gonna get back into it. And I was very fortunate that I knew a lot of people that knew a lot of people. Anyway, I ended up, a good friend of mine who has passed away, his name was Doug. He had a unfortunate car wreck and was, when we were in high school, and he was paralyzed from his waist down. Well, his mom was a big, highfalutin administrator in Wilkes County, and she knew the superintendent at Dublin at the time, because he had a child, also teenager. Well, at the time they weren't teenagers no more. We were in our 20s, but anyway, Dr. Warnock, I believe, was the superintendent. And anyway, Marjo called me. She goes, John, I'm gonna get you a job. I said, okay. She goes, you done went to college. You don't get a job. You like coaching. Oh, that's good. I'm gonna get you a job. So she called him, and basically their relationship got me a sit down with Coach Bars. It's Coach Sam Bars at Dublin. To this day, I don't know what I said or what I did. When I talked to him on the phone, he told me, he said, you don't have to dress up for this. You know, back in the day, back then, you wore, like PE teachers wore like the windsuit pants and a polo shirt. He said, just dress like you would to come PE. I said, okay. So I went down there and met with Coach Bars. He needed a middle school coach. Okay, and so we moved to Dublin. Well, I moved to Dublin. Again, highly fortunate to be around some really good coaches that knew how to work. And I can assure you this, if you line up to play against a Sam Bars coached team, there is nothing that they are not prepared for. Whether you've done it, or Mike could do it, or somebody else did it, but he knows that you used to coach for that guy and they did it, yeah, we're going to be ready for it. We're going to be ready for it. So again, I was there. I was in Dublin. I met my wife in Dublin. I had no desire to ever leave Dublin, ever. I love Dublin High School. You know, I mean, I never had any desire to leave ever, and I got reduced in force. The first time I'd ever heard those words, the letters RIF. And I did not know what that meant, but you know, this doesn't happen now, but back then, this was I was at Dublin from 96 to 99, and I was the last PE person hired in the system, and I didn't have tenure. I was fixing to sign my tenure contract, my 4th year, and I got reduced in force because there was a big white flight out to West Lawrence, out to the county schools, because some law said, I think it was all a bunch of shit, really. But they said it was, you know, we do not have enough students now for all these positions. And so I got reduced in force. Well, I was also coaching baseball under Coach Chuck Bill, which was another blessing because I really learned a lot of baseball from him. And we played Burke County in the playoffs that year. Jonathan Broxton was a freshman. And he came in there, we played him at our place. And this was back when in the playoffs you played the first game on Thursday. And then you played the doubleheader on Saturday because you might have the if game. Now they do it. Now they do it the other way. You play.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
The doubleheader and then the if game. Back then it was 1 and then 2. So we played them as when JB was a freshman, and he was bringing it pretty good, but we were freaking stacked that year in baseball. We were really good. We lost to Greenbrier in Greenbrier's first or either second year of existence when Coach Holder was there on a phantom home run to this day at our place, but they were really good. But we were really good too. Anyway, we played Burke in the playoffs, and when we went over there, at that point, my wife did not know that we were fixing to get married. She didn't even know she was my fiance at the time. So this was 98. This was 1998 because we got married in 99. So this was spring of 99. And we played them in the playoffs. And so Brent Honeywell was the head baseball coach. And he told me, he said, dude, I'm leaving. I'm out. We were talking before the game, whatever. I'm out. He said, this guy right here, Donald Wheeler, is going to be, he's going to be the head coach. He said, you need a job? And I'm like, funny you should ask. Yes, I do. So I talked to Donald and met Donald, and Donald Wheeler is a salt of the earth guy. Love him. A really good coach, too. Punter extraordinaire, I believe, for the Georgia Southern Eagles back in the day. But maybe it was just a holder. I don't know. But he played football at Southern. Anyway, Donald, a great dude. Anyway, I talked to him, and we beat him. And got talking to him. He's like, hey, you gonna come over here? I'm like, sure. I don't know. We got to have a job. I'm finna get married. And again, my wife did not know we were finna get married, but we were. And we did. But we went over there, and I had to tell her on the way that, Ginger, I'm fixing to introduce you as my fiance. And she's like, what? I was like, go with it. It's a plan. Just go with it.
Smooth.
Yeah, just roll with it, baby. We're all right. Yeah. So anyway, I get the job. Coach Nick Davis. I walk in there. I mean, dude, Bert, you know this. You've been there. They rolled out the red carpet for me and my now wife would be 25 years in June. But they rolled out the red carpet for us. I mean, the bank was closed on Wednesday. It was a Wednesday, and the president of the bank opened the bank, come in here, and they're showing me Terry Crowder's house is for sale, and he's leaving. And I'm like, whoa, cuz, we ain't finna buy no house, do we? What? Buy a house? You know? So we went to Burke County, and I will be honest with you, that was a cool year. That staff, I got to thinking about it when I heard Coach Davis on your pod. I was like, Nick Davis at that time, I think he was 23 years old. It was his first year as a head coach. On that staff, we had what turned out to be so many head coaches. Nick, Coach Davis was that one. I split an office with Frank Stevens at the middle school. Me and him shared an office, hung out all the time. We were in the gym together. Richard Redding, who had been a head coach, and I think was a head coach after that, was on that staff. Mike Dallas was on that staff and left and was head coach at Richmond Hill, and now I think he's AD at North Oconee. There's some more. Galen Phillips ended up being, he wore him down. He was our defense. He was Richard Redding's guy. Richard Redding was our DC. Galen was his guy, and he wore these bright orange gloves, like stop, slow guy that turns the sign. He wore them things that I want to be able to see him. He ended up being head coach at Butler, I believe. I ended up being a head coach at Portal. And I'm like, we had, and I think there was a couple more, but we had some guys. But I think anybody on that staff will tell you, if they're telling the truth, we're all really young still, and for the amount of athleticism that we had, we really didn't do a very good job. We finished 4-5-1. Okay? Let me tell you about the tie, because this is kind of a cool story. So, we play in Jefferson County, the first game, Nick Davis's first game as a head coach. We're playing Jefferson County. And we're playing, and it's a battle. All right, so they score, miss the PAT. We score, miss the PAT. Of course we would, because we ain't kicked the PAT yet. Not in practice, not nothing. I've done been there since all summer, and I've watched this. This is not good. They go up 12-6. They go for 2. We stop them. We get the ball back. We're kind of probably midfield. We throw a pass, which was kind of foreign, but we threw one and we caught it, and the kid scored with no time on the clock. And I was upstairs. I'll never forget this. Coach Davis, he's got that switch, offensive. What do y'all think? I'm like, go for 2. Go for 2. He's like, what? I said, Coach, we ain't snapped. We ain't got all, since I've been there, in practice, nothing. We have yet to get snap, hold, kick through the pipes. It ain't happening. And I'm like, go for two. All of a sudden, I hear click, kick it. Here we go. We kick it. We get the snap, we get the hold, and the kick hits the crossbar.
Oh, no.
Tie. Non-reason game, no overtime, tie.
Well, hit the crossbar.
It did. Well, I was a plus.
It was close.
But I can remember hearing that. I was screaming, go for two, down here, click. And all of a sudden, I hear kick it. I'm like, oh, no, this ain't going to work out well.
Well.
But, yeah, but Bert was cool, man. And if we had to do it all over again, me and my wife talk about this kind of often. Very, very, which you know, because I think you followed me at Bert, I believe, because I left there.
Yeah.
I was there in 99, 2000, and then I left. I think you followed me there. No shortage of athleticism in Waynesboro, Georgia, buddy.
Oh, no. Bird dog capital of the world. They got them.
They can catch birds, that's for sure.
And they had some dudes, and it was a good place. I enjoyed it.
It was very, look.
Probably should have never left.
That's what I was finna say. Me and my wife talk all the time. If we had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. But, we probably should have stayed at Burt.
Yeah, you had nice stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
People were good. You were close enough to Augusta where you could get the stuff.
Oh, yeah, well, the thing about that is it was the party after the football games. The dude that owned the furniture store was the president of the board. Had that pool house out there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was like, win or lose, it didn't matter. We're going over there. That was the rule. And it was like,
Waynesboro Country Club wasn't a bad little golf course.
Friday night, Waynesboro Country Club, rock and roll. And
little golf course wasn't bad. You get to Statesboro in 45 minutes.
Yeah, but it was cool. But
so where'd you go after that?
So after that, Randy Grace. Randy Grace.
Dr. Grace.
When we were coaching middle school.
Beat us on regression today.
Yeah. That gum Grace. You better watch him. He's sneaky. But we met when we were coaching middle school. When I was at Dublin, for some crazy-ass reason, Montgomery County was in our little middle school region. I was the official for Tom Beatty, God rest his soul. I was the official bus driver and scorebook keeper for basketball. Now, Tom is dead, so I can say this, because Tom told us when we were in Dublin that you can go out to the bars and you can wear Dublin High School from head to toe as long as you're with me. Don't do it by yourself. That was an accurate statement. But anyway, I met Randy Grace through all that. We went down there to play him in a middle school basketball game. And we rolled in there to play him. He looked at us and he said, y'all look just like I feel. He said, we ain't going to win this game. Y'all are. What are you doing when we leave? It's like, we're going to that fat man's house over there and drink beer in his yard and look at the creek. He said, I'll be there in an hour. Dublin Middle School, went down there, rolled over, and Grace was there in an hour, so that's how I met Randy Grace. So we had a relationship. Anyway, he called me, and he's like, Dave, he said, you ready to be a head baseball coach? I'm like, absolutely. He said, come to Montgomery County. I'm like, come where? Pardon me?
Money earning Mount Vernon, baby.
Right, Mount Misery. Yeah, really? I look at my wife and I'm like, I'm going after this job. She's like, we're going to do what? So anyway, I went to Montgomery. We actually won 3 games that year. And that was the first time they won 3 games at Montgomery since Coach Peacock was there. It was nuts. We played Vidae the second game of the year, and that was when Vidae was rolling. Dude, we had folks, school cut out like 3 o'clock on that Friday. We played them in Mount Vernon. There were motorhomes in the parking lot of the school. They were tailgating in the school at Mount Vernon. And I'm like, boys, this ain't going to work out good for us. First of all, we didn't watch tape. We know what's fixing to happen.
Yeah, see if Chris and his boys fixing to roll in
This
here.
is not good for the Eagles, boys. That's all I want to tell you. And it wasn't. But wait, I'll tell you what though. But that was my first. I went down there and coached football, coached Grace. That was my first head baseball job. We went 2-16, and I still think that is the best job I ever did coaching baseball. Because we lost the first game, then we won the second one in a perfect game, no hitter against the mighty Cobras of Twiggs County, and then we won the last one. The last one was really special because we were playing Truman, which big rival, Wheeler, Truman, Montgomery, big rival. Truman was really good. Anyway, long story short, we're playing them and we're tied in like going to bottom of the seventh. We come in, all the kids get over the dugout, and I'm like, all right, this is what's going to happen. I said, this kid, I said, you're going to get on. We're going to steal second, then we're going to bunch you over third. I said, then Ryan's going to come and get a base hit, and we're going to win. Well, we had a big, tall, left-handed kid, and he had a lot of talent, but we're Montgomery. We weren't very good. But the first pitch he saw, he was the one that was supposed to bunt. And he fouled the first bunt off, and then he fouled the second bunt off. And back then I was stupid because later in life I learned that that's your fault. Bunting's easy. You had two chances, you screwed up. I'd make them bunt on third strike. But back then I was stupid. I'm like, all right, whatever. All right. Well, the next pitch he sees, he sends it over the fence, and we win 3-2, and Truman cost them from winning a region. So I just thought that was awesome. But anyway, I went to Montgomery, and my wife worked with a lady named Charlotte Black, and her husband was Bill Black, who to this day is the man, the myth, the legend, best principal I've ever had or seen or heard about. He was at Wheeler County, right across the bridge, 15 minutes away. And he asked me if I knew Coach Engel. I saw him, my wife and his wife had a good relationship because they worked together at the elementary school there in Mount Vernon. And he asked me, he said, hey man, he said, you did, I built the baseball field in Montgomery County, by the way. And when I say built it, I mean built it. If you go there now, them dugouts, everything, laid every brick, sod on the infield, sprinkler system, all of it had kids with trucks and chains pulling down the old fence, chain link dugouts. I mean, when I say that's the house that Beast built, I don't mean that I built a dynasty. I mean, I built a field. So Mr. Black was a former coach and principal across the river in Wheeler County. He's like, Dude, you did all this. We need to talk to you. You know Coach Engel? I said, yeah, actually Coach Engel was there tonight. I asked my wife to marry me. I said, we go back, way back, him, Coach Logan, and all that. And so anyway, long story short, I take the job in Wheeler. And so I was at Wheeler for 4 years, salted earth people, Coach Dupree, Coach Engel, Coach Lowe, Coach Collins, Coach Brooks, just Coach Blunt, don't want to leave him out, Coach Ford, all them guys, and just salted earth people, loved it. We spent a lot of time, me and them coaches. Again, it's kind of like the old days in Jessup where we spent a lot of times riding dirt roads and talking ball. And it's amazing how much football you can learn without a VCR or nothing but a cooler full of beer. You can learn a lot if you listen and worry about what you're talking about instead of worrying about what's the next thing coming out of the cooler. But good times there. After Wheeler, I was in Wheeler for 4 years, and my wife's pregnant. My youngest son, oldest son, was a baby. He was 2 or 3. And I kind of knew, I done drug Ginger around my wife. I done drug her around the state chasing jobs. And I kind of knew it was time to, Mr. Black actually told me, he's like, it's time for you to put down some damn roots somewhere, son. He said, is it here? I hope so. He said, but if it ain't, it's time to do it somewhere. Well, my wife is from Statesboro, Georgia. And brother, let me tell you something. When they say once a Blue Devil, always a Blue Devil, they mean that. I've never been a real big fan of Statesboro Blue Devils because I've always been on the other side. When I was at Dublin, we played them. We clipped them down there and shouldn't have. When I was at Burke, yeah, I know that was in the Buzz years. That didn't work out too good for us at Burke. But I did not like Statesboro. But anyway, I was like, you know what? Coach Pennington, I just got the job. He's a Sunday school class with my father-in-law and all that. So I was trying to, you know how you get jobs, man. It's who you know. And so I really thought I was going to get a Statesboro gig. But it just didn't, I don't know, it didn't work out for whatever reason. But at that time, Coach Jack Webb had just taken the job at Effingham County. And me and Coach Pennington had a couple of conversations with Statesboro, and I just could tell by talking to him on the phone that, hey, I wasn't his guy, you know? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call Coach Jack. And Ginger's like, oh, I love Coach Jack. She goes, that's why I like you, because you remind me of Coach Jack. When you turn your hat around backwards when you're on the sideline coaching and all this stuff, you remind me of Coach Jack. And I'm like, all right. So I didn't know Coach Jack from Adam's House Cat. But I'm going to call him because I know he just got a job.
Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. You know what's slower than a pace car? Waiting at the car wash. That's when I fire up Chumba Casino. It turns those slow minutes into fast fun. With new games every week, you'll never get bored. Next time you're stuck in the slow lane, speed up with Chumba. Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
And I was in graduate school at the time, master's program with the now superintendent of Effingham County. I think he's Dr. Yancey Ford now. And Tim Hood. But we were all in graduate school together working on our masters at Southern. You know, Saturdays you got to drive down, about before the internet. You know, well, internet was there. This was 2005, so the internet was there, but internet classes weren't. You still had to go. We had to drive down to Brunswick on a Saturday, every Saturday for class. You know, so I knew the guy. Anyway, get a job at Effingham, and that's when I figured out the deal with football and why they classify you. Because once again, great staff. Wayne Munch, Tony Orsini, Nico Gugino, Nate Hayes, Mitch Nobles, you know, Jack Webb, obviously Buddy Holder. Good guys. But after a couple of weeks of practice, I'm listening to these guys talk about how much talent we ain't got. And I'm thinking, boys, y'all need to go to Alamo, Georgia and coach when you got 35 kids on your roster and that's a big year. Hell, at Effingham, we got 2 practice fields. What? Now, they count a game field now. 2 practice fields. And I'm going, boys, y'all, no, we got plenty of time. But I found out right quick, everybody we lined up against, that's the difference.
Yeah, you're in the region with Brunswick, Glen Academy, Ware, Wayne.
Yeah.
The only
all them guys.
Statesboro.
Right.
And then the Augusta schools, who I was at Richmond Academy, so you're going to whoop them.
That was back when Josie was
but you're playing Lakeside, Evans, Richmond, and then you're – because I was in that region.
Right. And I'm just like, wow, man. It's like, no, we have plenty of athletes, but so does everybody else. That's why they classify you.
Yeah, correct.
You know, and it matters. Because it's single A, you know, in single A, if you got, 40 kids on your team, you're going to have, I don't know what, 4 really good players and 1 exceptional player on a good year. Well, them 4 really good players are really 12 really good players because they're playing 4 on offense, 4 on defense, and 4 on special teams. Well, hell, if you're at a school with 2,000 kids, well, guess what? You're going to have, 12, 15 really good athletes, but they're only playing on one side of the ball. And then you're going to have a few more on the side. But anyway, I kind of learned all about the classifications and all that in, but I was at Effingham for 5 years. And Coach Webb, this was the thing. This is kind of, I've heard you talk about this a lot, and it is so true. When I went in there with Coach Webb in his first year, so I was one of his guys. Well, we were there 5 years. And when he got let go, they hired Coach Tomlin. And yeah, we all had Coach Tomlin's a good person, dude. And me, our relationship is pretty good now. It was not good then because I kind of felt like he kind of made me feel like at that time that I wasn't good enough, to coach for him. And that's not, I ain't trying to knock Coach Tomlin because, like I said, our relationship lined up against him on the other side several times since. That was not the case. That was just me being stupid. He come in, he wanted his own guys. I'm sitting there on it, holding up a spot, and I got tenure, and they can't get rid of me, and I know they can't get rid of me, and he knows they can't get rid of me, and everybody knows they can't get rid of me, but he needs that spot. And until I wore his shoes a couple years later, I didn't get that. But I promise you, as soon as I wore those shoes and sat in that chair, I got it immediately. So, yeah, me and Coach Tomlin he's always been really good to me. And I ain't trying to knock him at all. Hall of Famer for sure. But it just, that was me I was not young at that time. I was just stupid. But anyway, left Effingham, and me and Coach Nobles, Coach Mix Nobles were buds. We drove back and forth from Statesboro to Effingham, and we carpooled, and we got really tight, and his daughter worked at Long County. And so all of a sudden we're driving to work one day, and we stop in Brooklet because the phone rang. Cell phones are in play now. It rang, and it was Danielle, his daughter, and she said, I got somebody who wants to talk to y'all. And it was Coach Kyle Wilson. And so, real quick conversation with that. He's like, when can y'all come down here and interview? He's like, I don't know, give us about 30 more minutes to get to school, and we'll be down there in a couple hours. And so we went into school and told Yancey, who was the principal, Coach, Dr. Ford, the superintendent now, he was the principal. We said, look, we got a chance to go interview. And of course, his eyes lit up because he was wanting us out the door anyway because he needed spots. And so we rolled down there, and I did a tour of duty in Ludwig, Georgia. Mm-hmm. We won the first game of the year. We beat Bryan County. And brother, I was on the headset. I was upstairs. I was on the headset with Coach Nobles. He said, we got to get across them railroad tracks. They're going to burn this place down. Well, that was the only win we had that year, but we got that first one, I got. And then, of course, this was back during the what they call the furlough days and all that kind of stuff. Well, I've heard you talk about this on your pod. I had, over the years, gotten a couple of more certificates. And so I had the special ed certificate, and Coach Jack at Effingham, when he left, he went to SEB with Coach Pat Collins. And the deal was, the year we went along, when me and Nobles went along, that year we were supposed to go with Coach Jack to SEB with Coach Collins. But that was the year that the Bullitt County school system hired one person. That was Coach Jack. Well, we went along, so the next year I get a call from Coach Jack. He goes, Beast, I know you really don't want to do the special ed thing, but SEB is about 7 minutes from your house as opposed to an hour and 20. And I'm like, you're right. Me and Mitch kind of had a deal. And our deal in law was, I ain't leaving your ass here, but you ain't leaving me neither. We're a package deal, you know. Knowles, being a great guy he is, he said, look, man, if one of us can get out of here and, you know, help the other one down the road, make it happen. And so I left. I went to SEB. I was there for 3 years with Coach Collins. And then the call came to be the head football coach at Portal. I had really no desire at this point. My kids are like Tyler, that's at Georgia now. He's 21. He's a junior at Georgia. He was fifth, sixth grade, something like that. Fifth grade. And I come in from spring break, and my principal at SEB asked me, I'm signing in and checking my mailbox. She goes, I hear that Coach Willoughby is going to be the next head coach at Portal. I looked at her like she had lost her mind. And I'm like, that's good to know. Who told you that? They lied. What are you talking about? I said, my buddy's up there, Coach Neesmith. I said, we're buddies. I said, no. She said, no, he's about had enough. He's leaving. He said, word I got over spring break is you're going to be the guy. Oh, yeah. So we go through that process, and I took the job, and I've heard you talk about the jobs, and you are 100% spot on everything. I took the job knowing it was not good, but my whole vision was, okay, I'm going to take this job, and I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to build it, and these folks are going to give me time to do it. Yeah, it didn't work out that way. it just didn't work out. So I was there. I was head coach in 2014. We won 3 games. There's a magic number again. We won 3. We won the first. The craziest thing was we won the first one. We beat Josie. They were late to the game. We ended up beating them. I'll never forget, I called timeout. There was like a minute and a half to go in the game. I called the last timeout. We were on offense. And I told them, I said, all right, boys, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have to punt. I said, we can't go for this. It's 4th and forever. I said, we're like on the 20 going out. I said, we're going to have to punt. Defense is going to force a turnover. We're going to win the game. It was tied, 12-12. And all I was thinking about was that Burke County, Nick Davis, 12-12. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? I'm like, no, we're going to win. But anyway, we punt, and the first play on defense, we pick it off and go score. So it's 18-12, and there's less than a minute left. Josie gets the ball back. They're going straight down the field, and my quarterback, who ain't played defense, ain't practiced defense, ain't done nothing on defense, comes up to me on the sideline and says, Coach, put me in at linebacker. We'll stop them. I said, all right, go. First play, he stretched out over the top of his head and picks the ball off. Ties the game.
Game over.
And I'm like, that's coaching right there, boys. That's how you operate.
Exactly.
You know. But we won that one, which was a AAA school, and then we beat Fruitland the next week. Coach Ingram, my buddy. And so we're 2-0 at Portal. We're playing ECI the next week.
Ouch.
Yeah. Brother, you could not see nothing. That whole Portal Athletic Complex was full of red and blue. Now, of course, you know, we done won 2 games at Portal, and they making dome reservations, right? I'm like, dude, I can watch the tape. I know what's going to happen. This ain't Coach Kears, and I'm like, hey, man. It was good while it lasted. We won a couple anyway, right? But, yeah, we ended up getting smoked pretty good that game, but we're actually in the game till late, right? It's pretty good. We had some pretty good players. But one of the things you said on previous podcasts, and I want to tell everybody that thinks that you can do it by yourself, no, you can't. Because I had a college kid that was in college, and I threw him to the wolves. He had no varsity experience, nothing. And he was my other coach. And that was it. And then I had, I had three. I had another Coach Brown was there for part of the season. He had a baby, so he decided that parapro pay wouldn't raise a family, so he left about halfway through the season. So I was doing, like I say, I was doing it all, dude. I was trying to offense, defense, special teams, all that. You know, not to get political, but one of the best quotes I've ever heard was Zell Miller. He used to say, if you're driving through South Georgia and you see a turtle on top of a fence post, you can bet the farm he did not get there by himself. And that quote used to just go through my head. And I was like, all right, I can do it. I can do it. And yeah, no, you can't.
No,
you can't
you
do it
cannot.
alone, brother. You got to have help. And I did the best I could. I had some really good kids. I got good relationships with them and all that. It didn't work out for various reasons, which is way too long to get into. But I was the head coach for 1 year, and I actually had to stay at Portal and run the weight room the next year. And I told them it wasn't a good idea, but I had to do it anyway. But at the end of the day, you gotta have a job, right? And it was too late. It was too late. I actually got fired after the first week of school in 2015. And so I had to finish out that year. Well, luckily, through the GACA, I met over the years coaching all-star games and working all-star games, I met Jeff Kaiser. And me and him had a real good relationship. He called me from Tattle 2016 and said, hey, you know, he played for Coach Jack. Coach Nobles was his defensive line coach. So, you know, we ran in the same circles. And of course, you know, Kaiser's damn Georgia Bulldog legend and all that. But I went down there. I got a job at Tattle 2016 with Coach Kaiser. And let me tell you something. He made me so much better as a football coach at practice. Because you have never seen anybody that could watch a play and know exactly who screwed up, when they screwed up, and why they screwed up that quick. Watching it. And I learned really quickly. I was coaching running backs. If my kid screwed up, I had better daggum well beat him to the ass chewing, or there was going to be two. And yeah, that was, dude. He made you. He was. I love Jeff. He's my guy. He's my dog.
So now you're about to retire.
Yep.
You've got what, a month left?
5 weeks. Yes.
5 weeks.
5 weeks. I'm done, buddy.
It's been a long,
I'm done.
well-run race.
Yep.
What you gonna do now?
It's done. I'm gonna grab hold of that oak tree, that mossy oak. Since COVID, I got my real estate license kind of on part-time basis, just kind of been dabbling in the real estate with mossy oak properties. I'm gonna grab hold of that oak tree and I'm gonna shake it and see how many acorns I can get to fall out. For, you know, maybe I'll coach again. I don't know. Probably not, but I might. I don't know.
You're still gonna run the golf tournament?
Yep. No, this is my whole GACA deal now is the Lee Murray. Yes, the Lee Murray Golf Invitational. That tournament means a lot to a lot of people, and I didn't realize that till I took it over. But yeah, it does, and I'm again trying to get it bigger and better every year. And
you have, and we've enjoyed it. Last 3 times I've been, and it's been great. And I'm glad you've had us here, and another great one this year. And appreciate you and everything you do for us and your friendship and coming on with me tonight. And I can't wait till next year.
Well, brother, I've enjoyed it, and like I say, it's I love your pod. It's awesome. It really is. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.